Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with our Jhin updated complete guide, of course, for patch 4.4 plus. But of course, before we get into that, as usual, don't forget to check out Jin's basic guide for some tips, tricks, combos, leveling order, as well as his skills. I don't know why I'm saying it in the reverse order of what it's supposed to be, but oh well. Let's just jump straight into it. So first things first, you guys will notice something, which is that we don't actually have any lethality items in this build, and I'm going to go over a lethality Jhin build in my next video, because I did play lethality Jhin and such. Now you guys will remember that in patch 4.3, like ABCD, etc., I did prefer going for the lethality Jhin, as in I liked going for like Youmu's and Collector as my first two items. But honestly, now with the new buffed Bloodthirster, I actually think that the Bloodthirster build is better, and I did test the lethality build. I'm gonna cover it in, as I said, in my next video, but I do think that the normal full crit Bloodthirster build is actually going to be better. So let's jump straight into it. Basically, for your first item, obviously you want to go for the Gluttonous Greaves. Standard gives you the AD and the Omnivamp, and then of course the Bloodthirster, huge amount of AD, physical vamp, as well as of course getting the additional AD and attack speed majority of the time from the passive. Then you go straight into IE, more damage, once again a lot of AD, increased crit damage, and then you have your Maul Reminder for your armor pen, as well as your grievous wounds, as well as of course being a crit item now. And then you can top it off with of course a shield bow for of course the shield, as well as of course for the good stats. So you do have another option here, which is, oh, okay, I didn't actually put the option in here, but you actually can go for magnetic gun or magnetic blaster. I don't know why I keep calling it magnetic gun, but you can basically go for a build that's either like this, with magnetic gun as the last item for the increased range and the AoE attack, which is pretty good. Or you could actually go for magnetic gun blaster earlier. So you could go for like Bloodthirster into the magnetic blaster, and then IE, and then more reminder. You could go for this as well, but personally, you know, magnetic blaster doesn't give you any AD, and the utility you get from it is pretty good, and it's definitely gonna be good in some matchups. But overall, I just think that, you know, without the magnetic blaster, it's probably just a lot higher AD build, and you just do a lot more damage. So obviously now this leaves you an item slot for your last item, which of course you have your usual suspect of items, which I've been going over pretty much in every video now. Of course you have your GA. In this case, you can't go for Sterex because you already have Shield Bow, but if you went for the magnetic blaster, you could go for Sterex. And then of course you have your Maul against the magic damage dealers, and then you can technically go for Serpent's Fang for anti-shielding last item if you know there's a lot of shielding on the team, but I think it's a pretty big waste. Of course, you also have your usual choice of going for Crown for the anti-burst, and that's pretty much it. Although you can of course go for you know, a full-on defensive item if you so choose, but I wouldn't really recommend it, and that's pretty much it for his build. Now for the runes, you go for Fleet Footwork. Now overall, after the hype of First Strike is over, most people, including myself, has realized that Fleet Footwork is a lot just better and more consistent. The movement speed you get from it is actually not to be underestimated, because Jhin has no dash skills, so the mobility you get from it is good, and the healing you get from it is also amazing, because of course this allows you to trade aggressively and heal back in lane, so it's really good in lane especially, but it's also good in the later stages of the game, because, you know, health is always going to be good. And then, before we talk about Brutal, let's talk about Giant Slayer and Bloodline first. So Giant Slayer is a pretty obvious option. It pretty much is the highest value rune you can get in the second slot, and that's why we're going for it. And Bloodline, of course, for more physical vamp, or Omni Vamp, I should say. No better option here. And of course, you go for Bone Plating slash Overgrowth for your secondary rune. Now here, Brutal. So I have actually noticed that Brutal does not do that much damage on Jhin. On most ADCs, it consistently does over 1000 damage, whereas on Jhin, on some matches, I do like 500 to 300 kind of damage, so it really is kind of lackluster. However, your other choices are Triumph and Gathering Storm. So for Triumph, it's pretty inconsistent because you do get health every time you kill a champion, but in some games where, like, for example, you're not doing so well, then your Brutal is going to be having more value than your Triumph, because you're pretty much not killing people, and Triumph is kind of useless. Whereas Gathering Storm is actually an option that I've seen a lot of Jhin players go for, because Gathering Storm gives you AD, which is always going to kind of be useful. However, the kind of issue it is it takes really long to stack. Like for example, like 12 minutes into the game, you're only getting 14 AD, and that's like really low. So I really think Gathering Storm is pretty bad. So most of the time I still just end up going for Brutal, even though it's less value than other ADCs, but really the other two options are not too good as well, although I wouldn't blame anyone if they chose to go for them. So with that, we go on to the spells. So we have, of course, Flash, and then you can go either Exhaust or you can go for Ghost. Ghost is going to be the default option because, again, Jhin has no dashes, so movement speed really good for chasing people down or running away. But, of course, you can go for Exhaust if there's people who are going to jump on top of you and you really need the Exhaust. So, with all that out the way, let's jump straight into the gameplay. Alrighty, so taking a look at our gameplay. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will be, of course, sure to address them. And, of course, we also have more Jhin coming up on our next video. There's going to be a Jhin supplementary guide on the lethality build of Jhin, or rather the lethality into crit kind of build of Jhin. But, you know, we'll get into that. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. For now, we can see that, for some reason, Janna is kind of face-checking us, so we're going to start the game off by dealing a pretty good amount of damage. Of course, damage was kind of reduced with the Janna's Glacial, but we still managed to chunk her to half health. So now we're against Jinx, which, as we know from our own Jinx video, is a pretty strong champion now. And especially with her range, you can see that she is dealing a pretty decent amount of damage to us, and we're kind of getting chunked out as well. Also, she's cleared the minions, so we're taking some minion aggro, trying to trade back, have the 4-shot ready. I'm able to hit it onto the Janna, and we're going to have to pop the fruit here to get some health back, me and Leona both. So not exactly the best start. It did start off pretty good with the chunk on Janna, but you can see that you know, they pretty much managed to trade back, and of course with Janna's shield now up, really difficult to get a good trade because the shield's going to block a lot of damage, and we're just going to have to take it a little bit slow because we're both at half HP, and you know, we're not very likely to be able to kill them. More likely that we're going to get killed because they're both higher health than us. Also, of course, if the Jinx plays properly, she can of course just poke me out with of course her rockets, and Janna can technically even play a poking role now with the spam of her tornadoes, which some Jannas love to do. There comes another tornado, but you can see that with the fleet footwork, we're slowly just healing back up a little bit by a little bit. So that's another kind of use of the fleet footwork. Of course, it procs more health if you attack it on the champion, but sometimes if you want to do that, you have to really walk up to do it, and you're going to end up taking more damage than you really heal back. So sometimes just healing off of the minions is fine as well. So here Jinx steps up really far. We're able to get a catch onto her. She's out of position. We flash auto Q for the kill. Janna kind of gets caught as well, but because of course we are Jhin and we have to reload, we don't quite get the kill. Root does not connect either, and Janna is able to escape with her life. Overall, this is just a really basic punish of a mistake from the Jinx, and here you can see the Janna shield coming into play again, pretty much just saving her life on that occasion. Leona managed to hit the engage, but the shield pretty much blocked all of my damage, and Jarvan came around for the save and was able to basically chase us off. Leona lives with a sliver of HP, but overall it goes pretty well, and I am able to pick up Gluttonous Greaves as well as a longsword, which is a pretty good you know, first back. Jinx in the meanwhile has the attack speed boost, which of course gives her a lot less AD, but of course it's going to be giving her the attack speed. Now here Nyla does a really intelligent lane gank. You can see that the minions are actually pushed up, which means that they don't spot her going into this bush unless they have a ward in there, which they do not. So here we're basically just playing the waiting game where we just need Nyla to be patient and wait for the wave to push into us so that, you know, the enemy team is overextended and she has a chance to actually go in. So here the wave is actually coming in. The wave is going to reset to neutral, but she basically runs out of patience, flashes in with the ulti. We're able to pick up the kill onto Jinx, and then we're going to have to ult to try to get the Janna. We're able to hit the first 2 shots as well as the last one for the kill completed onto the Janna. So off of the gank, I was able to pick up both kills, which is of course beautiful. Jarvan comes in once again with the ulti. Leona Hex flashes out and is able to actually survive. So really intelligent move by the Nyla there to come in for the lane gank, but a little bit impatient on pulling the trigger. It would have been better if she just waited for the waves to crash. Jinx would push in faster than me, and she would have basically probably didn't even need to use her flash, but either way, you know, it still works out, at least for us, but could have been a Summoner spell saved on the end of the Nyla. Even so, of course, I wouldn't complain at all. It's not me that's using my flash. Something interesting to note here that I didn't really point out is I've actually taken Exhaust this particular game, and the main reason I'm taking Exhaust is because of Cannon. Basically, because no one else on my team is taking Exhaust, I have to kind of do it because Cannon is basically a useless champion as long as you have Exhaust. Literally, he comes in on you, he goes in on you, you exhaust him, and he just does no damage. At best, he stuns all 5 people with his ultimate, but he's really not gonna do any kind of meaningful damage with when he's exhausted. So Exhaust is really just a hard card to Cannon. Aside from that, you can see that it's also really useful for Jarvan when he goes in on us, and of course Yone in the future as well. So overall, it is just pretty much because of the Cannon that we're taking the Exhaust, which is fine. We miss out on the Ghost, but you know, Exhaust, you know, sometimes when you have to take it, you have to take it. Don't really have a choice. So here objectives are spawning. You can see Jarvan is clearly in the mid lane on the gank of Aurelion Sol, which is successful for him. And we are this time able to actually push in, but nothing too much is happening because our jungle is in the base. So here we're trying to see if, you know, anything else can be done. It's kind of clear that the enemy team is at the dragon because they're obviously roaming, all roaming there. So here we're just trying to see if we can contest it. Dragon is pretty low. Leona goes in onto Jarvan, and we're basically using all our spells on Jarvan. Somehow Jarvan misses the smite, and Leona ulti actually picks up the kill. And here we're trying to just blast Yone, who's going in on us. We get hit by Janna to nerf, flashing kind of towards into the wall, but still able to get in range to finish off the kill onto Yone. Then we're gonna have to pop the ult. We're aiming for the Jinx here because she's really low and not being protected. And then we also pick up the kill onto Janna on the back end for a really nice triple. So here we're getting really accelerated. We've just gotten 3 kills as well as the 3 that we already had. So now we're 6-0-1, getting to be a really fed ADC. And now we are like, you know, we're nearly at 6k gold, which is really far ahead. Here I know Aurelion's not going to survive, so I'm going to have to exhaust the Jarvan to save his life. Now he's doing pretty well. He's 3-1 and he has a Magi, so I decided to pretty much just be a nice guy and pop the exhaust to save his life. Of course, I could have just been a little bit more selfish and just let him die, but you know, if he's doing well, you know, I do want to help him out. You know, you don't want to be that kind of selfish teammate that only uses exhaust for yourself. Of course, if that guy is like 0-3, I'm not gonna do that. But since he's 3-1, you know, his life is worth saving. So here, Jinx has managed to pretty much get the push all the way into the tower. So I'm here to defend the tower and pick up the wave while my team is contesting the Rift Herald. Now, unfortunately, here the enemy team does manage to secure the Rift Herald, and aside from that, they all pretty much escape on 1 HP. You know, the Yone, the Janna, and the Jarvan pretty much all just live on 1 HP and are able to escape. Meanwhile, on my end here, pretty much I'm stuck in a 1v1 against Jinx, but unless she grossly overcommits onto trying to kill me, there's no way I'm really going to kill her if she plays safe. Now, of course, in terms of actual items, I do have a huge advantage against her, so if I 1v1 her, I definitely win this, but I don't have any summoner spells, so it's not like I can flash on top of her head to try to initiate a fight. So in the meanwhile, we're just pretty much just playing the game of clearing minions, and pretty much just that's about it. Supports have not yet come back to the lane, so it's pretty much just a 1v1 at this point. Here I can see her backing, so I want to interrupt her back using my W to make sure she can't reset, because I'm in a very advantageous position now. So if she isn't able to reset, I'm way stronger than her, whereas if she is, she probably picks up her Bloodthirster. Looks like she is, of course, indeed doing that, but I've delayed enough time that the wave is here, so by her backing, I'm able to pretty much get some free damage onto the tower, and with 3 enemies in mid and Cannon in bot, the only person who can stop me is the Jhin, so she's probably still just walking back to lane, and we are able to actually just pick up the tower. We're not going to overstay for the next minion wave because, you know, she is definitely going to come back to the lane, and, you know, if the enemy team rotates, I could be in trouble. Although, on hindsight, a fight kind of started out in mid, so probably they wouldn't have rotated anyways. Here, Jinx, of all people, coming in on the flank on the left. But here I'm just trying to join back up with my team because I'm, of course, 6-0-1. I want to be there to try to help out my team. Here I spot Jinx a little bit out of position, so I'm now on the flank myself to pick up the kill on the Jinx, and now I'm trying to hightail it out of there. Jarvan doesn't really want any piece of me either, so we managed to escape there with the kill from the backside, and only Jax is left alive other than me, and he's just pushing the tower. It's really clear he's going to get ganked because there's no pressure point anywhere else on the map anymore because the fight is over, but he doesn't really get the message. He doesn't back off, and he pretty much just ends up dying. So, not really the best in the world, but our team is just doing pretty okay in general. Of course, I'm really fed, just completed IE. Aurelion Sol is doing pretty well as well, and in terms of KDA, Nyla and Jax aren't too good, but they aren't really falling too far behind the curve either, so not too much to really complain about here. The next dragon is about to spawn soon, so we are in the general area to just contest. Of course, dragons are no longer that popular, but it's still nice to pick up some dragons. Here, Jinx gets caught out again by Leona and does just pretty much just end up going down. So here, we're just gonna clear up this wave before dragon starts to get the priority in the top lane. The enemy team is also coming to contest the dragon here. Nyla actually goes in onto the entire enemy team here. Now here I'm just trying to DPS from behind the wall. Cannon ulti goes in, so does Jarvan, and here I'm pretty much just blasting whoever is in range, but unfortunately my team all end up pretty much just dying, aside from Jax, who is still split pushing. So here I know I'm really strong. I'm 8-0-1 now, so I know I have the damage to possibly contest myself. So here I'm approaching with caution, blasting the Jarvan with my 4-shot, and just waiting for my reload while I root him up. So here, once again, I'm just basically just attacking. Yone tries to go in on me, but I'm just going to kill him. Jarvan is now on the run. Janna and Kennen are back to back him up, so I'm going to have to once again play cautiously, and I've pretty much been able to delay enough time that my Nyla is now back alive and ready to contest the dragon again. And pretty much here, I believe the enemy team has pretty much just chosen to reset, so now I'm starting the dragon back up and waiting for my jungler to come over, once again pulling the dragon out of the pit so that it's not so easy for Jarvan to EQ over the wall for the steal. Nyla misses the smite, but it's okay, I'm able to actually secure the dragon here. And a huge wave in top has accumulated, which we are able to of course pick up and maximize our farm. So we're at 10k gold, which is really far ahead of anyone on the enemy team. The next most fed person on the enemy team is Jarvan at 8.5k, so I'm really ahead of the curve here. I pretty much just want to survive and DPS. So next up, as expected, I'm going for the Moral Reminder, which is of course going to help out pretty much primarily against Jarvan, who once again is the most fed member. He is going for a pretty strange build of Triforce into GA, so his GA does give him quite a bit of armor. Here Nyla once again goes in for a fight. I'm going to get the root over the wall on the Janna, and now I'm trying to get into the fight, flashing in, trying to finish her off. Just look at this insane damage on Yone and just pretty much evaporating him. Janna's now 1 HP now, using the ward to get vision and finish her off. And then I'm trying to go for the chase, but Jinx traps are placed really well, so I can't really just chase them down. Leona and Aurelion Sol are still on the chase though, so I'm trying to catch up and see if anything can be done. Here I'm trying to get the root onto the Jinx, but the mark expires right as my shot is coming out of the gun. So no real root for me here. Just gonna clear up the wave and let Jax split push. So we're just creating a point of pressure on the other side of the map to try to kind of buy time for the Jax. Here I started up the Gromp, trying to deny the enemy team farm, but here my Aurelion Sol is trying to deny me the farm by cutting the Gromp away from me, which is really annoying. But yeah, so here instead I'm just gonna go head over to the mid lane to pick up the farm over there instead. And Jax is pretty much dead, so I'm just gonna back and ensure I'm not caught as collateral damage. I am 11-0-1 at the moment, 3 items completed, so I don't want to give over my 1k shutdown, to anyone on the enemy team. So I'm making sure to not put myself at any risk. No point to save, the Jax there, who's pretty, he's not feeding, but he is not doing well at all. So here we kind of catch out the Jarvan, but he is taking a lot of damage. Here you can see the exhaust goes in onto the cannon, and he does 0 damage to me. I'm pretty much still at full health. Janna gets caught out again, reload, and then finish off the kill, and pretty much we've chased them away. So here something pretty unfortunate is about to happen. Here I get spotted by the Poro, as you guys can see. I'm trying to clear out the Poro. I see Jarvan coming in, but I'm not too scared of him, but the burst from Jarvan together with the Jinx is absolutely insane. I'm trapped into inside the ulti, no flash there. I thought I was safe because Leona and Aurelion Sol was kind of near me, but they pretty much are a little bit too far to really help me at all. And basically I just end up dying, and the complete disaster is Jinx got the shutdown. So Jinx is now 1k richer, and you never want to really give Jinx a shutdown because Jinx is never really out of the game. She's always going to reach a point where she gets 3-4 items and she can still carry her team, even though she is really far behind at the moment. So if we don't end the game, quickly enough, she's going to outscale me, which sounds insane when you think about how I'm 12-1 and she's 3-6. But yes, eventually there will come a point where she will outscale me and do more damage than me, which is definitely not what we're looking for. So we do want to end the game, sooner rather than later, of course, because Jinx does scale really, really hard, and with a Janna to protect her, it will be difficult to kill her. So here, pretty much both teams are kind of grouped out at the bottom side of the map, and a fight obviously just breaks out. So here I'm getting the root onto the Yone. Kennen once again tries to go in with the ulti. No exhaust up this time, but he still barely does any damage here. My team is kind of starting to lose the fight. Nyla just respawned and Aurelion Sol is really low. So the enemy team is kind of chasing us down, but it doesn't really matter because they aren't really going to reach us anyways. Aurelion Sol can get out safely, and I can just go back to farming this juicy minion wave in the bottom lane. So here the dragon is actually spawning, and this is actually going to be Dragon Soul for us if we can get the dragon. So we're actually going to reset, and we're going to head over to the dragon to of course try to pick up our soul. But before that, I'm going to quickly scooch over to the red buff and quickly just pick it up. Now here I'm actually walking a very dangerous way, because if someone was in that bush there, I could be dead, like if it was Jarvan for example. So everyone is of course here at the dragon fight. We're trying to of course focus down the dragon and trying to pick up that juicy dragon soul. Unfortunately, Jarvan does hop in, and despite our best efforts, Yone gets the steal. I do get the exhaust onto the cannon, and he does of course get exhausted. He is stuck in the pit that Jarvan created, so he does go down. Now here I'm able to finish off the kill onto the Jinx, and I have to flash away from the Yone, who is giving chase. And in the meanwhile, Nyla is pretty much just cleaning up the entire fight, picks up a quadra kill, and actually it was me that got the last kill on Jinx. But although I really doubt that this would have been a penta kill anyways for her, but yeah, definitely could not have happened with me taking the kill on Jinx. So here, I do have my stasis up and available in case I get caught inside a Jarvan ulti. That's pretty much the only thing that can save me aside from my flash. So here I know Nyla can take down the tower by herself, so instead I'm trying to make better use of time by instead denying the enemy team's jungle camps instead of just blindly trying to push with Nyla when she as one person is pretty much just going to be enough. So I'm stealing the red buff, I'm stealing the Krugs, and Jax picks up another tower in the meantime, which is pretty much what I expected. Of course, we wouldn't have enough time to push in on the top lane inhib. So pretty much we got the best of every world. We got top lane tower, we got mid lane tower, and we got the enemy jungle farm as well. So once again, another fight is breaking out. So I'm trying to run as fast as possible to the fight. Obviously, I just reset. So here the fight is kind of ongoing. Unfortunately, the fight pretty much is lost before I reach there. Two of my teammates have died already. Soon to be a third, I guess. And Jinx has gotten the reset. So unfortunately, as you guys can see here, I cannot compete with the damage of the Jinx because she has reached 3 items. So here, Jinx has the the magnetic blaster, i.e. and the bloodthirster, and as a Jhin with 3 items as well. I cannot deal as much damage as her in a 1v1. So this is kind of what I was talking about. It comes a point where Jinx is going to be fed enough to pretty much just deal more damage than me, just because of the nature of the champion, that Jinx is weaker in the early game and scales better into the late game, whereas Jhin is stronger in the early game but doesn't scale as hard. So it is pretty much how the game works. So the fact that we haven't ended the game yet is definitely going to be trouble for me, because despite the fact that I'm super duper fed, you can see that Jinx actually now has more gold than me, even though her KDA obviously doesn't look anywhere as nice as mine. But at the end of the day, KDA doesn't matter. What matters is actually winning the match and actually dealing the damage, in which case Jinx is in, of course, a very good spot. So here Elder Dragon is up. So here we're rushing over to try to contest with our team. Now Kennen was actually at the wrong side of the map, and he has only just managed to actually rejoin his team. So there was a brief window where we could have picked the fight and be at the numbers advantage. But here you can see Leona manages to catch out the Jinx. I'm able to pretty much just follow up as well, but unfortunately Kennen actually goes in, and I have to pop the stasis to try to survive the Kennen engage. And here we are getting down pretty good damage, but unfortunately our team is all kind of dying, and we no longer really have the position to DPS anymore without being at very high risk of dying. So here we're just trying to do what we can. The enemy team unfortunately also has Baron, and now they have Elder, so now we're in a really tough position because obviously now we are in deep trouble with you know, the enemy team's double buffs. Here I flash because one more auto attack from Jinx might have killed me with the Elder buff. You can see one auto attack from her does like 1/3 of my health, so I'm forced to pop the flash there for safety, and here I complete my shield bow to just get the extra layer of safety with the shield, and now we're in deep trouble. So here it's pretty much do or die at this point for us. Jinx has gotten the reset of the tower. Nyla W actually saves me, and she gets a huge 3-man ulti. And off of the huge 3-man ulti, we're actually able to pick up the kills on the two most spent members on the enemy team, being Jarvan and Jinx. Now this is huge because without Jarvan and Jinx, we actually have an angle to end. You can see that I'm pinging for the tower, and here Janna gets caught out as well. Janna goes down, and only Yone and Kennen are left alive. So here we have a really good opportunity to end the game, so we're all just pushing straight down the lane. Kennen is running for his life and tries to turn back for the trade, but just gets stunned by Aurelion Sol and killed. And now with only a Yone left to defend, this should be a win. Unfortunately, the enemy team wave just spawns, and I'm just going to focus the Nexus. I don't care about killing the Yone, so we do end up picking up the victory. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.